In this video, I'm going to be updating my handlebar controls. If you recall, this bike is a 79 and the controls are really starting to show their age. For example, this control for the turn signals and headlights is starting to turn gray, although it functions pretty well. On the other hand, this control, although it looks pretty good, the run off switch is starting to flake out on me, and I want to get that fixed before it becomes an issue. So what I want to do is create an updated look for both sides, but still have the same functionality. And what I found was that the CX500 doesn't exactly have a plug-and-play upgrade that you can get aftermarket. So I found some options that I think I can make work, but there are some challenges for each side. Let's start with the start-stop switch and throttle. From Honda, from the factory, Honda integrated the start-stop switch with the throttle all in one. The problem is that to upgrade this, you have to get separate pieces. So what I did was, from Lossa Engineering, is I picked up this aftermarket start-stop switch with the connector already built into it. So in this video, we're going to find out whether or not this is plug-and-play, or the kind of work that's needed to make it plug-and-play. The second thing is the throttle, which I found this push-pull throttle, again from Lossa Engineering, which should slide right on and should bolt up to my current push-pull cables. So that's this side. So for the headlight, turn signal, and horn control, there really wasn't in fact, let's be honest, there doesn't exist, as far as I could tell, a direct aftermarket upgrade for CX500s. So what I did was went to eBay and found this 2012 CBR 250 headlight, turn signal, and horn control. And what I'm banking on here is that Honda's been fairly consistent with their wiring and their switch controls, that this should be pretty much plug and play. So sort of an unknown here, because there's not a lot of detail on the forums about updating the CX controls to a newer switch. Although I've seen it done, I haven't seen a very good how-to or a lot of documentation on doing this. So my thought is that this plug should be similar to what's inside the bike, and if not, the wiring should be fairly similar enough that this should be a fairly direct update with only minor modification needed. The controls otherwise are the same. Got your headlights, high and low, turn signals, and horn. So, I'm not predicting too many challenges here, but hey, with a project like this, there's some sort of surprise that's always going to show up. Okay, so I've managed to find the plug for the controls in the CX, and here it is. And then here's our plug for the CBR control. I don't know if you can see that, but the plug fits. Perfect. Pinout's different. It looks like you've got 7 pins on the CX plug, and you've got 8 pins on the CBR plug. So, plus these 2 extras, I'm not sure what they do yet. I'll figure that out. So what I'm going to do is check my schematic for the CX and then see what's what on the CB connector with my multimeter. Okay, so what I've gone ahead and done is actually removed both of the controls from the bike to make this a little easier, and I made a little discovery. So this is the CBR control, and what you have here is probably what I call the main plug, and then the secondary plug. Pretty straightforward. On the CX500, you've got this similar main plug, and for the CX500, the horn plug, the turn signals, and a surprise to me was the headlight plug. So this doesn't necessarily directly plug in the same way that this does. So there's a lot of extra stuff going on here that I need to figure out. Now, like always, this is a project, So I think there probably is a way to still make this work with this. But instead what I might be doing is actually splicing this control via its wires up here somewhere with the wires set here and leaving all of this to work the way that it should. So what I'm going to do is open this up and compare the wires and see if I can't make sense of it all, and although I should be able to, and match up the wires so that I can just basically splice this control onto the harness for the old control, which I think is probably the simplest task to do, as long as there's enough wires and the right pieces are mounting in the right places. Okay, so what I've done is disconnected all of the wires from the original plug and then mapped them out on this little map to determine which wire color performs what control. So now that I know what the colors of the wires in the CBR controls do, it should be a lot easier to match them up with the appropriate wires in the CX control without having any issues. Now obviously there are a couple challenges. I got to figure out what to do with the headlight, but the way it looks is that I've just got to do some splicing to match up the correct turn signal wires and make sure that I've got the correct connections for the headlight control wires. Then the horn's pretty straightforward, I think. So, alright. Okay, so I've redone my wiring map here, and I've listed the CBR controls at the top, the CX500 at the bottom. Fortunately, as I had suspected, Honda's done a pretty good job of maintaining the wire coloring, so that's easy enough. The headlights seem to be matching up properly, and then the turn signals match up correctly. Now, in the CX500, it seems redundant, but they've got an extra set of wires for the rear and then for the front, but it's redundant. So with the case of my bike, so all I need is to connect to the rear because that connects to the entire circuit in my modified harness. So 3 of these wires from the CX500 actually can go, which makes this a lot easier. Now the real interesting thing here is the way that in the CBR the black and green wires, which basically switch the horn on, work a little differently in the CX. The horn green wire in the CX500 is actually a hot wire that goes to the clutch switch and comes off of the headlight. Got all my wires for the CBR control ready to go here to do a little soldering. What I've done here for the CX harness is just zip tied all the ends together, so I got ample room to reconnect them and then size up this extra wiring that I don't need to the right length. So it'll probably be all together, let's see, right about in here somewhere. Another bonus here that I managed to simplify the harness with is that I double checked my bike, and actually I had deleted the clutch lockout switch, the switch that keeps you from being able to start the bike without holding the clutch in. So I actually don't need that wiring for that switch either, so that's a big bonus. So basically all the wiring here just seems to be connected directly without any extra little bridging of little spliced wires, so that's really cool. So that allowed me to remove a couple of the extra pins from the socket here and simplify the wiring a little bit, so that's always a nice bonus. Other than that, I'm pretty impressed with Honda being able to maintain the same wiring colors for the last 35 years. So thanks, Honda. We're going to test the horn. I've got one lead in the green from the headlight, then the lead in the hot wire from horn. Here we go. Looks good. Okay. That's the headlight. So I can check that real quick. And then blue to white. Good. So white to blue and white's low. Good. And then high is blue to blue and white. So blue. Okay. To blue and white. No. Good. Switch that off just to make sure it's good. Excellent. Okay. Great news. I wonder how many minutes of my videos have been spent soldering wires, because it seems like a lot. I wonder if anyone ever watches these videos and goes, oh my god, he's soldering again. Or how simple that this, of a motorcycle that this is. Still, how many wires it takes to make it run. And yet how well Honda's done at standardizing it all. Obviously, this video is brought to you by Honda. And by brought to you by Honda, I mean Honda had nothing to do with this video at all. They just did a good job engineering the bikes. So, there you have it. Let's get this on, test it out. We might have a winner. Just gonna hack this together to make sure we got power going in the right places. Okay, there's low, high. Yeah, that works. Alright. Don't have a horn at the moment. I'm looking for a very small upgrade to that. Alright. Bike's on. I'm honking the horn. Beep beep. And I'm getting voltage. I'm getting a connectivity. Let's check voltage here. 12 volts. Excellent. It's always important to have the right screws when you're doing something like this. I actually lost them. But found them, so we're good. There we go. Gotta get it in the right hole. It's important. Know which hole you're gonna put your screw in. So all this needs to move up a little bit. Okay, so this is right at the end. So okay. So, yeah. Okay. Alright, one last check of the controls here. This feels pretty good. Alright, low beams, high beams, good. Turn signal left, right, left, be working. Alright, oh, check the clutch lock out really quick here. Good. Alright. Alright, looks like I'm at the halfway point. Got the headlight switch wired up, turn signals, horn, everything's looking good, and it's all spliced with the factory harness. Unfortunately, it's getting into the single digits here in the Midwest, and I'm having real trouble keeping my garage above freezing. So I'm going to call it on this video at the halfway point. In my next video, I'll follow up and work on the start-stop switch and the throttle update. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay warm.